When you're editing a film like this for over a year, it's a process of evolution, and some scenes evolve, some stay in, some fall out. What you're about to see is a selection of scenes, some of which evolved and some of which fell out.
Narrator 500. On January 28th, pick up. On January 28th, 1954.
You're also going to hear my voice as a temporary narrator. The music you may hear is solo piano. You may hear the voice of an actor, which was an approach that we were considering at one point. The pictures are in pretty raw state at some points. They may be low resolution without the moves that gave them such eloquence in the final film. So we hope you'll enjoy this. By the time Peter Hernandez's mother sought him out, Gus Garcia was a legendary lawyer and a fixture on the glittering social scene of San Antonio's Mexican-American middle class.
He loved to go to the bullfights in different border towns, and somehow Gus had met this female performer, and she came over to where we were sitting and threw her cape over the fence there, which meant that, you know, this bull was dedicated to him. So, of course, he was thrilled to death over that.
While the romance of the bull ring may have captivated Gus Garcia, the courtroom was a fierce orator's true arena, and he was set on using his skills to convert the small-town murder defense into a vehicle for civil rights. Within a year after the Hernandez case, Gus Garcia began to spiral downward. His alcoholism was compounded by mental illness, which took him in and out of institutions.
I didn't see him those last few months when they said he was just beyond himself in San Antonio.
All the reports that I got back were that his mind was deteriorating, that his behavior was changing. He was said to have been trying to be a bullfighter with cars that were driving by. He was trying to do this and do that to cars that were passing by. And he died on a bench in that downtown plaza. That's where he had his final breath. Not tragic? I mean, somebody with such a brilliant mind, my God, what a waste. What a waste.
Gustavo Gus Garcia died of liver failure on June 3rd, 1964, at the age of 48.
In the course of making the film, we weren't always able to include as much background on all of our central characters as we would have liked, including John J. Herrera.
John J. Herrera, a Houston-based attorney, descended from one of the signers of Texas's Declaration of Independence.
John was really a personality. He worked for the sanitation department of the city of Houston, which translates into the sewage division. He was a cab driver during the Prohibition period and was arrested for selling liquor, and I think did 60 days in the slammer on a federal offense and got a pardon from the president in order to be a lawyer. So that's quite a history.
There are several historical characters that really deserve their due. Unfortunately, they had to be sacrificed to story, which is often the case. Among them was Dr. George I. Sanchez, a remarkable educator and strategist.
While getting his master's degree, Cadena becomes friends with Dr. George I. Sanchez. Recognizing Cadena's brilliance, Sanchez sets his protege on the course of a new, daring strategy.
Carlos Cadena spent about 4 nights a week over at Sanchez's house, and they were brainstorming on what kind of a case would they need. So Sanchez would say, why don't you take this course? Why don't you research for this paper? And so Cadena said, we had all the research done. He said the brief was written long before we ever had a case.
The great joy of making these films is meeting people who were so courageous. Pauline Rosa came and did an interview with us all these years after she testified in Edna.
To show there was a pattern of mistreatment in Jackson County, Garcia called as his witness Edna resident and mother of three, Pauline Rosa, the only Mexican-American who stood up to testify.
Well, it was discrimination. They had signs on the cafes, no Mexicans allowed. They couldn't go to school. They just have one-room school.
Under oath, Mrs. Rosa explained that when she tried to enroll her U.S.-born, English-speaking children in Edna's Anglo school, she was told they did not accept any Latin Americans.
I done it because I want to do it. Maybe later on it helps somebody. But nobody tell me what to do and what not to do. I just do what I want to do.
One of the things that attracted me to the Hernandez case was the opinion itself. It's brief, it's eloquent, and some constitutional scholars feel that it's been underutilized. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled in favor of the Hernandez team. In his opinion, Chief Justice Earl Warren cited Pauline Rosa's testimony about segregated schools, the signs in Edna saying, "No Mexicans served," and the courthouse bathroom labeled, "Hombres aquí."
Throughout our history, differences in race and color have defied easily identifiable groups, which have at times required the aid of the courts in securing equal treatment under the laws. But community prejudices are not static, and from time to time, other differences from the community norm may define other groups which need the same protection. When the existence of a distinct class is demonstrated, and it is
the Hernandez decision tells us clearly the Constitution is concerned with protecting groups that have been treated as if they're inferior. In that vein, it helps us understand what the Constitution should protect today. The Constitution needs to protect social groups, groups defined by sex or by sexual orientation or by disability that have been mistreated socially. It needs to protect those groups from those patterns of mistreatment. That's the promise of the 14th Amendment.
While we were working on the film, we were delighted to find out that some high school students in Falfurrias, Texas, were studying the Hernandez case and turned their studies into a history project that won at the history competition in Texas and then came to the National History Day competition in Washington. Meeting these students, we were struck by their enthusiasm for this story and the meaning this story had in their lives, the way in which it really resonated with them today. We realized that the Hernandez versus Texas case still had a great deal of resonance among a younger generation of Latinos and Latinas.
We're at the Supreme Court right now, and it's just amazing to be here and to actually see where Gus Garcia argued his case in Hernandez versus the state of Texas.
It's just an honor to be here since, we've been studying this case for so long and actually been able to been given the chance to come see this.
Without Gus Garcia, this probably wouldn't have happened as fast as it did.
And it also made an impact on the society today.
If this case wouldn't have been decided here at the Supreme Court, if Chief Justice Earl Warren would have not overruled it, maybe we would not be so free right now, the Hispanics. I mean, we can walk into any building we want. We can pretty much do whatever we want.
We definitely think that Gus Garcia and his team of attorneys that argue here really opened the doors for our civil rights, not only as Mexican Americans, but just civil rights for all minorities. For us to have the freedoms that we do today, we think really happened because of this case.